With that said, I'm going to look to Councilmember Alvarado to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and myself for the invocation.
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Remain standing. Father, thank you so much for this day you have given us. Thank you for the opportunity to continue to serve the people, Lord. I just pray that you give us wisdom and guidance in all of our conversations and all of the things that we continue to see happening here, Lord. Give us protection and security through each of those items. We thank you and love you. Amen.
Amen.
And I guess for the record, I meant to say he's working, but is excused. So my apologies for not saying excused. All right. With that said, I'm going to look for a motion of approval of agenda. Any changes, sir?
Yes, request from Councilmember Alvarado to pull item 11, move it to management report.
Okay. Anything else?
That is it.
Okay, consent calendar item number 11 will be moved to management report item number 1. Outside of that, I need an motion in approval of amended agenda, please.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Prout, second by Councilmember Alvarado. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Alvarado,
Yes.
Prout,
Yeah.
Espinoza,
Yes.
and Givens.
Yes. Okay, and we have a presentation this evening from our Mr. Tim. Tim, we're going to ask you to come up here for our Kern Mosquito and Vector Control District presentation, sir.
Thank you. I didn't expect it to really be a presentation. I had given you a report.
Yes,
And
sir.
I've got copies of it here. Did the council get the report?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that way. So that being said, I didn't know if you had the reports or not. I will read the report. If there's any questions, I'll stand to answer what I can. And if there's anything that I cannot answer, I will refer to another board. I'll give to your clerk of the board to give you the answers at a future date, if that's fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've been working, well, I've been working different ways to make a presentation or a report to this board for what's being done for the mosquito and vector for the city of Shafter. Sometimes I've done nothing. Sometimes I've had a presentation from somebody on the employee of the district. But I thought it might be best if I'm here and just give you kind of a brief overview of what we've done for this current year. And if there's any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. Just real quickly, starting out under operations and surveillance, the Kern Mosquito and Vector Control District hires seasonal employees every year. There's approximately 35 that are hired each year for their area. They have 8 operational zones. One of them covers the city of Shafter, where they have different service requests for rats as well as mosquitoes. They have monitors in the city of Shafter. I think there are 8 of them, if I'm not mistaken, surveillance traps they keep. And this past year in July, they had caught 1 adult mosquito sample that was tested positive for the West Nile virus. Not human, it was just a mosquito that had the little rascal. Currently, we're working on a construction project moving on, and this consists of redoing the office, building a laboratory. And the reason behind the laboratory is it takes about 2 weeks to get a response currently from when they send samples in to the laboratory. This will certainly expedite whatever they have needs for, and they have staff that can handle it. So they're currently in the process. We're currently in the process of building a laboratory, taking down some old construction as well as working on the RFPs to build this. And right now we're in process. The project looks like it's coming in. Colombo has just received the project, and it's going to be about $2.4 million is approximately what the cost will be for that. Administratively, we finished our financial statements for the year end of 2024. That brings our audits up to date. The county has kind of threw us for a loop. They've changed their accounting program, and right now we're struggling to get the information that we need to have. So our next audit might be a little bit slow. It's just how it works when people change computer programs. Let's see. That's not necessary. Since the beginning of the year, Personnel and Organizational Committee has been reviewing personnel handbook policies, and several policies have been revised and formally approved by the directors at regular board meetings. What we do is pretty simple. there's men and women that drive around, collect samples of mosquitoes, make sure that there's nothing in the area that could be contain the virus. We suffer from West Nile, and then there's also some encephalitis that's available that can be borne by these mosquitoes, and we try real hard to mitigate those. We're working on a WALS program, which is we're doing some areas in Bakersfield that if it works out, we'll do it in more areas as well. It might include Shafter, but it tries to get the mosquitoes in a larva stage before they become adults. And it hasn't really borne, we've done it for 2 years now. It has mitigated some, but it's very expensive. We're not too sure exactly whether we're going to continue with that program. But that's something that our CEO will work with on that. Are there any questions as I move on? I've got some China cuisine waiting for me.
How often do you see West Nile virus in the area?
You know, but there's always a sample or two every year that we get. We're not a hotbed at this point. Los Angeles is, but it is moving north. So it's kind of gone around us around the coastal areas and up into Fresno. Where you get the most mosquitoes is when you have a lot of water, and it doesn't take a lot of water for the mosquitoes to survive. So people with their pots, and just if they water them daily, that's going to be enough for mosquito larvae to germinate. But we haven't had as much as we could have seen in some other areas. We're relatively warm considering.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Any other questions, council?
I have a question.
Thank you.
Hey, Tim, the ankle biters,
Yeah,
are those? still
Aedes
around?
aegypti.
Yeah, are they still?
They're
Yeah.
still around.
What's the,
Prognosis?
yeah,
They're never going away.
never going away. All right.
Oh, that's not
How
fun.
about gnats?
You know, that's not something that's in my purview.
okay,
The
I'll
gnats are
just-
horrible, but
Okay.
I mean, where I live, we can't even go out in the evenings. It's
Yeah.
just really bad.
Okay.
So, yeah, I don't know what to say about that. What we're working on is the mosquito specifically, and then we have roof rat control as well. And that's for any of the Shafter residents. If they have problems, you know, with maybe a neighbor has a green pool, they just need to call, and the area representative can certainly come by and talk to the individuals and maybe they can put some fish in. They have these large pellets that they can put in that actually work well too. We've lost a couple of the really potent chemicals. It's just how California operates. You know, the oils that we used to be able to spray in ditch water, that's not available anymore. So that's just the nature of the beast in California.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you. Is that it?
All right, very good. Thank you,
Thank
Mr. Underoom.
you, gentlemen and lady. Have a great day.
You as well. Enjoy your China cuisine. All right, at this time, we're going to open up for public comment. Public comment is for any person wishing to speak on any item included on the agenda or on any matter within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city council. Speakers are invited to speak from the podium and address the city council. Speakers are also limited to 5 minutes unless additional time is needed for translation. Please state your name and address for the record before making your presentation. Public comment is open. Hearing none. Has been anything online? Seeing none. Public comment is closed. Council announcements and reports. Council Member Alvarado, I'll start with you this evening.
You know, I don't have nothing to report.
Okay, thank you, sir. Council Member Espinoza.
On the second, I attended an oath of office for police officer Jesse Chavez. On the third, I attended the North Park groundbreaking ceremony. So it's nice to see that getting started. On the 8th, I attended another oath of office for a police dispatcher. And then on the 10th, I attended the KEDC 37th annual dinner. On the 15th, I attended an oath of office for Assistant Executive Alejandra Hinojosa. And on the 29th, I attended another oath of office for Assistant Administrative Assistant Mariela Ruiz. The 29th was also my 41st anniversary being married to my wife. And then attended the groundbreaking ceremony for the Mexican, Colonia sidewalk. And the Colonia Mexicano, I think is what they call it. And then, that evening, I attended the grand opening ribbon cutting ceremony for the Legacy, Realty Group, Next Gen Home Loans right here in Shafter on Main Street. And that's it. That's all I have.
Don't forget the wedding anniversary. That's always an important one.
So which one?
The wedding anniversary.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the important one. Miss Kathy?
Yes, sir. You know, I wanted to announce as well as tell you that I attended student leadership at the Shafter High School. It's all the leadership and student body officers come, and we had, I believe, 35 students that came in, and we could use some volunteers if anyone here. And we've had some of our staff even have come before. It's only for about 45 minutes that we meet with them and bring in pizza, but we talk about leadership skills and exchange conversation with the students. So we met on September the 17th. On the 23rd, I did attend the general plan meeting with our appointed committees that discussed housing as well as transportation for our area. On the 29th, I also attended the oath of office for the administrative assistant who is adding to the building and planning department, Mariela Ruiz. And then on the 30th, there was quite a group that attended out at the Mexican colony for the groundbreaking of sidewalks. It's the first covered ground area, so they won't have any more of that dust blowing in those areas because there's still a lot more to cover. And it was funded with AB 617 money. And Kern County was involved in that. And then, yes, that evening we did have the grand opening and ribbon cutting for the Legacy Realty, which offers a full service. I don't know that we've ever had that in Shafter. They even have 11 agents that are in their office. It's really quite a deal. I mean, I need to go back and just meet and visit with them and just learn more about what they have. They really wanted to be involved in Shafter, and most of them are even women, which I thought was kind of interesting. And then on the 1st of October was our National Coffee with the Cops, and it was held at Starbucks on Laredo Highway. And it was fun to be there. The employees, as well as all of our officers that were there, had a good time, and others that came in too, came and went. It was a nice morning, I thought. That was it.
First
I
Friday.
forgot that one too. I attended,
Friday, yeah.
I attended that one, the coffee with the.
Oh, you were there earlier?
I was there.
Yeah.
And it was nice it was funny to see the police officers working behind the counters, and
At the window.
I was getting back out to my pickup, and Nicholas has got his head stuck out the window on the drive-through and everything. So it was a fun morning.
Yeah, and we also, the 3rd, I did attend the street fair that was downtown, or the sidewalk. And it was well attended. I believe the mariachi music, and I noticed our report said that many of them came from the Bakersfield area, and it's probably because it was well advertised, but it was a nice, perfect evening, and it was really an enjoyable time. Just wander around, you can buy food, you could talk, you could visit. Yeah, they had some games for kids. It was a nice evening.
Then the memorial service.
Oh, yes. Well, Debbie Haley, who is quite a volunteer person that not only volunteered and worked in Shafter, but did a lot in Bakersfield or in other areas, and even was a missionary that followed with the Mennonite Church and went to the Philippines. But she passed quickly. She was struggling with cancer, but she could have been all right, and yet she developed an infection, and it went pretty fast. But that was well attended to on Saturday.
With that, nothing else added for me, and it was well attended. Community staple, I'll say that. She's done a lot here for the community, so she will be missed, that is for sure. We're gonna move into consent calendar items. This evening, we have 18. We are moving item number 11 to management report, so we'll briefly read through now 17 items. Item number 1 is to approve general checks. Number 2, approving payroll. Number 3, approving of overtime report. Number 4 is to accept the treasurer's report for August 2025. Number 5, approval of minutes. Number 6, approving of a special event permit for Shafter Lions Club Trunk or Treat. Number 7, approving the special event for Shafter Rotary Foundation Ghost Tour. Number 8, approve request for veto letter on behalf of the Shafter City Council for Senate Bill 707 open meetings. Number 9, ratify the side letter agreement between the city and SPOA to remove recognition of the animal control manager classification. Number 10, adopt resolution number 3044, authorizing the city manager or designee to appropriate $80,000 from the general fund to support the senior discount program for utility billing. Item 11 was moved to management report. Number 12, authorize the increase of purchase order number 11 with D. Jasper and Associates in an amount not to exceed $29,558. Number 13, accept the 3 bid proposals for the said work and authorize the Deputy Public Works Director to award project to Bakersfield Well and Pump for up to $100,000. Number 14, approve the creation of a new capital improvement project for the Zerker Road intersection and corridor study, and authorize the allocation of $66,000 in TIF monies for the project to Provis and Pritchard Consulting Group. Number 15, issue a notice of award and notice to proceed to Sierra Construction and Excavation for $81,075 for the PG&E service to North Shafter Community Park. And number 16, ratify an expedited purchase of 600 amp switchgear from Witcher Electric totaling $48,936. Number 17, adopt resolution number 3045 to authorize the levy of a special taxes within annexation number 1. And lastly, number 18, authorize the city manager to execute the CCC 96 sponsor agreement with the California Conservation Corps. Questions, comments, or concerns? And if none, I just need a motion and a second to carry, please.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Alvarado, second by Councilmember Prout. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Alvarado,
Yes.
Prout,
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yes.
and Givens.
Yes. Okay, we are going to move into our public hearing. This evening's public hearing is for the general plan amendment number 23-39 and zone change number 23-72. And I don't know who I'm giving the floor to.
We're gonna start with Henry, I believe.
Henry, are you on, sir?
Yes, sir, I'm on, Mayor.
You have to turn him up. Hold on one second, Henry. We got to turn you up. Try that one more time. Are you there?
Yes,
You're getting better.
I could speak up a little bit.
You are. All right, we got you now.
You got me? Okay.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I'm gonna be doing a short presentation on the Housing Accountability Act. I'm sure you guys have heard this before, but I'm gonna make it pretty brief. Can we go to the next slide, Yasmina? So as you all know, the Housing Accountability Act is one of the oldest and most important pro-housing development laws in the state. It's the main tool that the state uses to limit local agencies' discretion when it comes to housing projects. So this means that the state is the one that passed the state law, and it limits the way that the local agencies can deny housing projects. Can we go to the next slide? One of the first things that the Housing Accountability Act presents is a builder's remedy. And this is a provision within the HAA that allows developers to bypass local zoning laws and have housing projects approved, even if inconsistent with local ordinances, when a city fails to adopt a compliant housing element. Although it limits your local discretion, there are five findings that the state does provide local agencies in order to deny a project. The first one is if the city has a compliant housing element and the regional housing needs allocation have been met for all income categories. The other one is a specific adverse impact without a feasible mitigation. A state or federal law requires denial. The project is in an agricultural zone or there's inadequate water or sewer. And then the other one is a certified housing element, and the project will violate general plan and the zoning code, and not the housing element or the other sites is still not enough. when a project is denied by a local agency and the city does not provide the required written findings, then that's when HCD or the court stepped in, and though you'll have court order compliance, the court order, if the decision was made in bad faith, then the court will just automatically approve the project without any local input. There's also fines, and then there's also housing attorney fees that the housing organization that brought the lawsuit would receive from the city. So like I said, only because it's state law, it does not mean that there aren't any grounds for denying the project, but meeting these written findings is pretty difficult. Some of the required findings for the denial are public health or safety impacts, and they have to be very specific. Compliance with other laws, agricultural resource preservation zones, or like I said before, a builder's remedy circumstance. So the written findings, you have to provide a preponderance of the evidence. A preponderance of the evidence is that it's most likely than not. And the finding has to be specific adverse impact on public health or safety, and there is no way to mitigate the adverse impact other than by disproving. It also has to be the health of safety impact identified must be significantly quantifiable and direct, and it must be based on identified written public health or safety standards. The other one, like I said before, is some other state or federal law requires the city to disprove the project. Next slide, please. And if the zone is agricultural or there's a resource preservation zone, it must be that and one of the following. The site is surrounded on two sides by land used for agricultural or resource preservation purposes, or the site does not have adequate water or sewer facilities to serve the project. This one's very important because one of the projects that I've seen that was denied by a city but upheld by HCD was a housing project in Monterey, and that zone, it just didn't have adequate water and sewer facilities. And when the city denied that project, it was upheld by HCD. The other one is the local government has a compliant housing element, and the project is inconsistent with both the local zoning ordinance and the general plan. So some of the important considerations is that the act limits local government's ability to disprove projects that comply with objective development standards, and those objective standards are quantifiable and do not involve subjective judgment. Denials based on subjective standards like neighborhood character are unlikely upheld unless objectively defined. Neighborhood character would be something that has to do with parking. That's always one that HCD does not uphold. The HHA has been strengthened to address California's housing project, and cities have sued the state regarding HEC's constitutionality, and the courts have upheld it as constitutional. Next slide. And as you can see on this graph, HCD's enforcement has increased year after year. They're looking for cities that are denying these projects, and they're coming after the cities, and cities are inheriting pretty big fines when denying these HAA projects.
What are the fines, Henry?
Some of the fines are daily. It could go from thousands of dollars to hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it's something that the city, unless you're making those specific adverse findings, I would not recommend it.
That's a fine per unit, correct?
Yes, per unit.
If I could chime in, I think Steve briefed me ahead of time. It's about 10 grand per unit is that not per unit? Okay.
Per day, per month, one time. And there's 200 units for this?
170.
Thank you. So it's 1.7 million? Thank you.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Is there any other additional questions, Mayor?
Well, that was impeccable timing then. Not as of right now, Henry. Thank you for your presentation.
No problem.
Steve?
Yes, Honorable Mayor and Council. Tonight, now I'm going to talk specifically, you got a little bit of a background on the Housing Accountability Act. Now I wanted to tell you specifically about the project that you're considering, which is General Plan Amendment 23-39 and Zone Change 23-72. It is called the Cesar Chavez Multifamily Project. It is located at the northeast corner of Birch Street and East Los Angeles Avenue. Go ahead and next slide. This gives you a sense of where the site is. To the north is an existing multifamily project. To the east is existing residential tract that was just built, the Ball Fans tract. To the west is vacant land, but it is zoned for R1. And to the south, it's zoned for agricultural production. Go ahead to the next site. Oh, thank you. So, oh, it's so small, I'm gonna have to read this. So just to give you a quick description of the project, it's a request to amend the general plan land use designation from low density residential to medium high density residential and to change the zone classification of the parcel from R1 single family to R3 multifamily on an 8.72 acre site located again at the northeast corner of Birch Street and East Los Angeles Avenue. Specific to the project, it will allow the development of 174 multifamily units, generally about 20 units per acre. At 30, 40, 50, and 60% of the annual mean income for the county of Kern. Specifically, it'd be three-story buildings that would total about 342,000 square feet. It would be built in 3 phases, essentially 1 building per phase. There would be 348 on-site parking spaces and 8 full access driveways. In our analysis, we found the project to be compatible with the general plan and the housing element. Because this is a discretionary action, CEQA has to be complied with, and so staff prepared a mitigated negative declaration and determined it was the appropriate level of CEQA review and mitigation imposed in the MND reduced impacts, potentially significant impacts to a level of less than significant. On August 12th, the Planning Commission voted to recommend approval of this project to your council. And as Henry alluded to in his first presentation, the project cannot be denied without risking a Housing Accountability Act violation. This gives you a general sense. This is a preliminary site plan. They would have to go through full site plan review through the building department as well as the planning department and the engineering department so that it could meet the objective standards being the zoning ordinance, as well as the housing element in the general plan, California Building Code, and the Shafter's Engineering Design Manual. Those are our objective standards. Go on to the next one. This gives you a sense of the profile of what the buildings would look like on the site. Go ahead and go to the next one. Besides the fact that if this project was denied, there would be a potential Housing Accountability Act violation. Staff also wanted to point out some of the benefits of the project. The benefits are that this project would go towards the housing element requirement to rezone at least 187 acres to a minimum density of 20 units per acre. It provides affordable new opportunities for housing, particularly for the young and the elderly. It furthers several objectives, policies, goals, and programs in the general plan, land use, and housing elements. And multifamily already exists adjacent to the project, essentially to the north. And the project would be an extension of this area and not inconsistent with its surroundings.
Not the same density?
It would be around the same density. Yes.
So the one just due north of it is the exact same density? as this?
Around 20 dwelling units per acre. Okay. So with that, staff recommends that you conduct a hearing and adopt a mitigated negative declaration, as well as approve a resolution 3046 approving the general plan amendment and introducing for first reading and waiving the reading of ordinance 772 approving zone change 23-72. And with that, if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them for you.
Thank you very much, sir. This is for a public hearing in regards to the general plan amendment number 23-39 and zone change number 23-72. Public hearing is open for comments or questions. Anything online or anything written? Okay, the public hearing is closed. At this time, council questions, comments, or concerns, please?
Steve, the existing apartments right now on the north side, they're only two-story, right?
Single story.
I believe they're two-story,
They're two-story,
Yeah.
and these are gonna be three-story.
three-story, but they have to meet a maximum height for the zone, which is a 35-foot height. And that's any project. So any project could in that zone could be up to 3 stories by right currently. If they already have the general plan designation and the zone classification in place, they can build by right up to 35 feet in that zone.
This is basically a mandate, right? We're being forced to do this.
Well, you could go against the state, but I think it's probably a suit that you would lose.
Does this open up a doorway for them to be continuing to do this kind of stuff?
Well, for now, until we get really what the crux is that we don't have enough sufficient sites zoned currently. One of our objectives in our housing element that we did last year was that we had to rezone 187 acres to that 20 dwelling units per acre. That's what the general plan update is trying to accomplish, along with a lot of other things. Once we rezone those sites, you could deny an additional project that came in after that rezoning occurred. And then you could deny the project and make that fighting, because you would then have we would be compliant with our housing element at that point. So my hope is in the next year and a half, when we get a certified general plan and we do our rezone, if one of these came in, you would have a lot more discretion over that project, because we could say to the state, we already have the sites zoned for this. We don't need additional sites, so we can deny this project. But until that time occurs, yes, there is the potential that someone else could come in and under saying that they're going to do low-income housing would be able to utilize the provisions of the Housing Accountability Act to sort of limit deniability. Again, but there may be, again, it's site specific. They could end up saying, we want to go out to this area, and we go, well, you really don't have water and sewer. That was one of the provisions. Or perhaps they want to do a general plan amendment zone change from ag land to something urban like an R3 zone. You could then say, hey, this is agricultural land. You could deny it on that. But with the particulars of this one, there's really no way to deny it without the risk of a violation of the Housing Accountability Act.
Mr. Alvarado, I think you had a question.
Yeah, I
Yes?
just had a quick
Yeah,
question.
yes, sir.
On phase 2, would that be Mano? On the sheet here?
At this point, I don't know what their phases are going to be. I just know it's a 3-phased project.
And just looking at the map or this piece and then looking at this here, it's just only because there was a concern with the new housing to the east.
Yes,
right?
Yeah, east.
to the east, yes.
Is that if the houses were on the closer to, I guess it's going to be called Mano, South Mano, that the houses were backed up to that fence, the folks across the street wouldn't really feel comfortable having a 3-story house looking over my backyard. But looking at phase 2, looks like the housing or in the parking is on.
Yeah, they're setting it back inward.
Yeah, which is good. That answers
Yeah,
the question.
And there would be fencing. There would also be the need for landscaping, which we could tell them that they need to put some sort of a tree row for privacy. You've also got a road, and then you have a brick wall, and then you have the setbacks to those houses. And I think most of those houses are single family to begin with. So for the most part, their windows,
I think
they can't see over their fences.
I think it's just mine when you say 3-story. That's already high.
Yeah, I mean, 3-story is unusual at this point in Shafter, but it is allowed by right already based on that height standard. Generally, what I say is 1 story is about 12 feet, 11 to 12 feet. So at 35 feet high, that's about 3 stories that you can have.
No, it looks good if this was the plan, right?
Yeah, that was the preliminary
Yeah.
site plan. that was the basis, and I needed a preliminary site plan to be able to analyze the project for CEQA. So that's the preliminary site plan and this preliminary elevation that they provided to me so that I could do the environmental analysis.
That's all I have.
Sprout, think you had something as well?
Yeah, how much control do we have as to what they might build and what it's gonna look like? In other words, how does it address? I mean, it says some in the write-ups that's here, but my concern is noise with that many people,
Hmm.
animals that you're gonna come in. And I'm telling you, I have a problem with one neighbor with one dog, and it's most discouraging to have to listen to a dog day and night.
Right.
Okay, and here we got multiple units, and how are we controlling the noise? The safety part is another one that concerns me because of so many people. I don't really particularly like 3 stories. We don't have 3 stories anywhere in Shafter. I don't wanna see us start doing that. They're gonna force us now because you're gonna do it one time, it's gonna happen to everybody.
Well, I would say if you don't like 3 stories, we may want to explore reducing the maximum height in that zone.
Yes, I
Um,
think we need to-
Yeah. Because right now, that's the rules. And that's been the rules ever since I've been here. And I think that's probably been the rules since 2005. Now, no one has utilized that maximum height, but that maximum height is available to them. So they're just utilizing what, like I said, our objective standards. Maximum height, here's our setback. Those sort of things are objective standards. I have no discretion. If you meet the standard, I have no discretion to say, hey, great, you met the standard. I'm still saying no to you. If you met the standard, I am compelled to approve.
Okay, the other item I had was open space, and you and I have talked a little bit about that, is open space with so many people and so much congested in that small area. I guess it's gonna be fenced in, but still,
You would have to be, yes.
there's no open space, and then it puts the requirement onto we as a city to supply play areas and sit out play areas and whatever to accommodate, because they need to be able to get out of their place and go somewhere.
Right.
So how much control do we have of that?
On their open space?
On any of what I just
Oh,
mentioned?
we certainly, we're going to do site plan review. Again, I'm kind of limited to what is available by the, like I said, the objective standards, our zoning ordinance, our building code, the building code. There is, parks very nearby within walking distance. You've got Kirschman, you've got the skate park. You have the rec center, the children's rec center that's just to the north of this, that are all very walkable to this, that they can utilize just as any other citizen could utilize our public parks. The other thing I want to mention is one of the requirements that I'm going to make that is unique to this project that I've already conferred with the applicant about, and I've already put into my staff report, is there is going to be a police review for what's called defensible spaces. Essentially having the right sight lines, the right lighting, so that you can, so that the citizenry can see and defend their space from intruders or just, people that are kind of loitering about or walking around and, kind of looking a little suspicious. Part of our site plan review, which doesn't always occur, we're going to involve the police department and get buy off on them that they feel that this is a defensible space to reduce the potential for safety hazards.
Yes, I understand the safety that you're gonna have with police work, but I think it's still safety with everybody else, but there's so many people. There's an awful lot of cars that are all congested in there. I just, I just think it's way too many occupants in there. Even if we eliminated 1 story and just had a 2-story, at least you're bringing it back down. Because we see that in our other parks, Hudson Park and some of the others.
Well, again, I mean, that may be a conversation about how many dwelling units do you want in your various residential zones? Right now, currently, R3, you're allowed up to 20 dwelling units per acre by
We're
right.
taking individual houses now in a street and we're putting a house in the backyard. And if I wanted and I had enough in the front, I could put a house in the front yard.
You technically with what single family could have a JDU and an ADU, so 3 dwelling units is the potential.
We get this to change.
Petition the state. That's what it's.
So we just be filing saying, no, we're gonna deny this, and then we'll just send the bill to the state.
Well, if you denied this, I think the state would have sent a bill to us.
Oh, yeah, they wanted to send it back to them. I mean, you know what? You're talking about people rebelling and being upset about it.
I'm,
How do we get it to stop? I mean, I tell our citizens, you better start watching who you're voting for.
I think that's the unfortunate here. I agree with you. Is
Crazy.
in this scenario, if you're following along with this conversation, in this scenario, the threat of litigation has already taken place. I'm just going to speak my mind. So the threat of litigation has already taken place. The California AG's office has already looked at this and they're already questioning it because if we say no or try to do any denial, it's absolutely going to be a fine against the city. And it's not that the denial is because we don't want apartments. There's so many different aspects to it. But when an organization is more or less shoving this down the throats of people because they know what the law states, and the law is not very well written to allow protections for its residents. Exactly what you're talking about. It's just disappointing. And I'll go one step further. It's disappointing if Cesar Chavez is not sitting on the phone or on the call right now with us. They have no representation here to even have this conversation. And every time we've done a zone change amendment or every time we've had a conversation about something new coming in, a representative from that organization is here. Unfortunately, they chose not to be here in this time, and it shows a lot about their character and who they are. Just putting that out there. So it's disappointing. And if the residents want to really understand what's going on, this isn't something, and that's one of the reasons you saw the attorney presentation up front. That this is 100% being shoved down the throats of the people. I just want to clarify that.
Well, and the planning commission certainly were very vocal about it. I mean, I
Mhm.
attended 2 of their sessions, and so I know. I mean, they were very vocal about it. And the vote wasn't, it was a 4-1 vote.
yes, it was.
And maybe we ought to have a 4-1 here and still send it to the state, huh?
It's your prerogative how you wish to vote.
No, we'd only have 3.
You see our stance on this one already
Yeah.
happening here. Yeah. All right, council, any other questions, comments, or concerns? I would say one thing, if I have it, you go ahead.
There's nothing to do about the 2 to 3 stories right now. There's nothing to do about that.
No.
If, provided they stay under 35 feet. There is no restriction on number of stories. It's a maximum height restriction by the zoning ordinance, which is 35 feet.
Yeah. Well, the sad thing about it is that people that live in these areas, the small communities and all that, they don't want to be stacked up on top of each other. And here we're being forced to do it, which makes us more like them instead of being different than them. And why the people chose a city like Shafter to live in. Because if they want that, they can go to wherever they're building their condominiums, 10 stories tall. And here we're being forced to do something that's out of our norm. And then I never done real good when people tell me what to do.
Me neither.
Yeah.
I believe we have one more opportunity. If anyone's listening or you talk to your friends or family in the city, you have one more chance to at least submit a petition letter. I believe we have one more reading to follow up on this next council meeting.
One thing I will caution about that, tonight there's a resolution to approve the general plan amendment.
Correct.
If you were to approve that, you're not approving the zoning ordinance, you're doing first read tonight.
Right.
The second read would happen 2 weeks from now. If you were to approve the general plan amendment and then, let's say, for some reason, deny the zoning, you have sort of an incompatible general plan designation and a zone classification, which is also against state law. It would be a weird kind of a thing. They have to be compatible with each other by state law. Just let you know, so.
We like to be different.
So the state would get a taste of this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, question that I'm going to ask. I'm assuming I'm asking this to Henry. Henry, I have 3 items on the docket: the adoption of a mitigated negative deck, adoption of resolution 3046, and the introduction for first reading. Are we having to do each one of those individually, sir?
You can do them all together, but I think if anybody wants to vote no on any specific one, you would have to do them individually, or they can state that they're voting no on a certain one. But I would recommend just taking all three actions together.
Then we will start with that. At this time, I'm going to look for a motion and a second to carry for the three items as read in public hearing. Number one, the adoption of a mitigated negative declaration for the project, the adoption of resolution number 3046, and the introduction for first reading only for ordinance number 772. Need a motion and a second to carry.
Make that motion.
Staff's gonna find out real fast where we stand on this one.
It just hurts so much. It just isn't right. It isn't right, even though I understand and I don't want to put us in litigation. But somehow we have to have people stand up and voice their concerns and the reasons. It just can't happen on everything. It
Well,
needs to stop.
we could be the ones to lead the way. We could say all no to everything and let them do what they have to do, and we'll.
Well, at this point, we're doing that because I only have one motion. Don't look at me crazy because we only have one motion.
And no, nothing crazy, but I would caution council, this could result in millions in cost to the city if this is denied.
1.74, correct?
In addition to attorney's fees, and that's just the fines.
And then they could.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Mayor,
And then they could say at the end, it's approved anyway.
That's
And
right.
thank you for the
Of course.
$2 million.
And if I may, remind the council as well that, there is a 5-meeting rule. So this is the third meeting. There was 2 meetings in the planning commission. So tonight would be the third meeting.
Theoretically, that means we can continue this on for another meeting. Is that an accurate statement, sir?
Yes, you can continue it, but then you'll be down to 2 meetings.
Council, I'll give you that as an option. If there's a flavor to continue this on to the next meeting, so you have a better chance to take a grasp of this, or I have a motion on the table at the time for Councilmember Alvarado.
Permission to,
By all means, sir, yes.
okay, so let's be real here. So we could prolong it for another 2 weeks. But at the end of the day, we're gonna say yes to it because we don't wanna use up taxpayers' money of $1.7 million on something that we just can't win. I mean, we could prolong it because we have, I guess, based on what everybody's saying here, we could do it. Okay, but at the end of the day, we're gonna say yes to it anyways. Otherwise, based at 1.7 million, so taxpayer money, and then still get them to do it anyways.
Potentially.
So,
I'll never put anything in a 100% bucket on that one.
but I
'cause
just
that's-
don't know the.
If you end up with enough petitions from your residents that actually can come up against this, then that could be a completely different
Have we
story.
heard any response from ball fans? What, are they saying anything about this?
I had response from realtors over the weekend who have already noted that this is going to be a negative impact on the
Of course it will be.
evaluation of their homes.
Ball fans residents were active during the initial hearing at the planning commission. They showed up for the first hearing. There was some talk about them showing up to protest at the second hearing. There was no public comment at the second hearing. No one showed up for it.
Well, they hear the story that you just can't. There's nothing you can do about it, but somehow people need to start listening and paying attention to what's happening in our state. Because they're forcing us, and I don't like it.
Council, I still have a motion on the table by Alvarado. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we can wait.
I'm just making sure I follow through.
Yeah, we could reverse it, I guess.
Do I have any taste for a second on the table to follow up on the motion? Not a one. Council, would you choose to continue this on?
I'll make a motion to continue it.
I'll second.
Okay, so I'm going to, for the record, I'm going to note that there was not a motion to carry the vote for the evening. Instead, there is now a motion on the table to continue this into the next meeting.
Steve, do we have to renotice that? Will we have additional costs?
Certain. They need to do it to a date certain.
That
What I
was-
will say is is there any additional information I can provide to you? Because I'm going to basically give you the same presentation next time.
You're more than welcome to step up to the podium next time and say ditto,
Okay,
and that would be acceptable in the moment.
okay.
I hate to say it like that.
One more quick.
By all
So-
means.
So if there's enough petition, can this, would it matter?
To clarify, no,
Can-
written petition has no effect on
Okay.
HAA.
Yes, unless you guys can, unless the council can provide a specific adverse action that's action that's against the public health or safety, the petitions wouldn't suffice.
Well, the planning commission did that exact thing. They asked staff to go and come up with more information, and there wasn't any more information to give. I understand.
I mean,
that too.
I've really looked at this. I've done it against the tests on whether you can deny. I can't make the findings on any of the tests. The only thing we can do is when we get the general plan and the zoning redone, I can then make that finding. And when the next one comes around, we can deny because we have sufficient sites at that point to meet our RHNA, our regional housing needs allocation. I mean, we can sit on this for another 2 weeks and we can drum up 100 people to come talk in opposition and can be here until 1 o'clock in the morning if that's what you guys really want to do. And then at the end of the day, you're back at point A.
Had to work.
And I can, cut and paste the staff report into the next agenda and do all those things and change the names and dates.
Thank you. So at this time, we do have a motion to continue it. It would be to the next meeting on October 21st, 2025. Councilmember Espinoza has motioned for that. I believe Councilmember Alvarado, you seconded that. So the motion on the table is to continue this hearing until the 21st of October. Rather quickly, do I need to have this hearing reopened to continue it? Henry.
Yes, you're gonna have to renotice it. You're gonna have to renotice the public hearing and pretty much do the process all over again.
That's fine.
Yeah, it needs to be continued into a date certain.
Then I don't have to.
Yeah, that way we can avoid the additional cost of renoticing the entire thing.
21st, October 21st.
Correct.
That fulfills the obligation, yeah.
So I have a request, a motion to continue to the next regular council meeting, which is October 21st, 2025. The motion by Councilmember Espinoza, the second by Councilmember Alvarado. I need a roll call vote on that motion, please.
Councilmember Alvarado,
Yes.
Prout,
Yes,
Espinoza,
Yeah,
and Given.
Yes, thank you very much for that.
I
Steve,
have one more question. What do we need to do to start the process to scale back that height limit?
Zone code amendment.
Yeah.
But they submitted their application that puts
too
the
late.
zoning static from when they submitted
I
application.
understand that,
Yeah.
but
But yeah, it would be a zone,
we
it would
had
be a
this-
zone, it would be a zone code amendment, kind of similar to the tobacco shop where we change our zoning ordinance and revise the maximum height requirement to, whatever you guys would like.
well, we need to get out in front of this, so when they come back again, we tell them to go pound sand.
Well, I mean,
for the next applicant.
well, the next
Correct.
applicant could do it. They just adhere to it. Until we rezone all the sites,
Correct,
someone else could do this.
correct.
They would just be under a different regime. Let's say that the zone code amendment went through, they'd be under a different maximum height regime, but they could still follow this process. Yes.
Correct.
Okay, city manager, can you,
We will bring a zone code amendment to reduce the height restriction after Steve tells me how to do that, but we will bring it back to you guys, so.
thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, that is the only public hearing item for this evening. Moving into our management reports. There are two management report items. However, we are moving the item from consent calendar number 11 into the management report item. Consent calendar item number 11 was to approve the merchandise license agreement with Small Town Designs to allow the sale of city branded merchandise. Councilmember Alvarado, you asked to have that pulled.
Yes, I just, I noticed it, on Friday when I got my agenda, but it was late on Friday, but I just had some questions. I didn't have time to meet up with the city manager to ask the questions, and before the meeting started, I sort of I shared with the city manager and he explained to me a little bit, but I was just trying to understand a little bit more. If you could maybe start from the beginning.
Yeah, so council recently went through a change in logo for the city. What communications, specifically Rachel, is working on right now is securing the rights with PB&K to those logos with the state on the state applications. Part of that too is making sure that we monitor brand standards, so we don't have people using it, putting it on inappropriate backgrounds, stuff like that, which leads us to entering into these types of agreements, which is really cool that we have especially a small town local entrepreneur like this, but it gives the city control actually over the logo utilization. And I want to give Rick actually some credit on this because he's actually put in some quality control measures we didn't really anticipate, but it helps make sure that the logo is being used for a proper purpose and it's not being thrown on, a cannabis leaf or something of that nature.
I like the idea, helping, local businesses. Just the part I was just trying to understand a little bit more is just, being that this is something new for the community, this new logo, this new branding, which we all know costs, we just talked about it just earlier about cost over $100,000 plus. I just was just trying to capture, okay, so we have a private business in the community, helping small businesses, which is all good, great idea. But I was just trying to understand the revenue part of it. And I was just thinking, how can the community, the taxpayer, capture that revenue back into the community? For just opinion or so, is, I don't know if we could have a private business. I know there's another one in town, but just they could go and like do a bid type of deal, like 10, for an example, like 10 hats, 10 shirts, 10 this and 10 this. The one that has a better pricing gets the agreement. But selling it, I don't know if it's possible. I'm just and it's an idea, a thought. Let's say like from the learning center. So the revenue now that's so that the revenue at the learning center library now is captured back into the community, back into the into buying books or pencils and papers or something, it's reinvested. I know it's not going to pay. I know selling 10 t-shirts not going to pay what it costs for all this new branding, but it's just keeping the revenue within itself, with the taxpayers component.
Yeah, so we actually looked at that, and Rick, don't throw anything from the crowd on this, but typical margins on hats are about $4 after you have all your costs and everything else. If it was a typical royalty or revenue sharing agreement, we'd probably get 10% of that. Realistically, Rick would have to sell about 50,000 hats for us to make back the original amount we paid to the consultants. It's not economical for us to take in these amounts because we'll expend more on staff time processing these funds, bringing them in. We're really talking about tens of dollars, not thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars. That being said, if there is another small print shop that's wanting to do this, I would suggest they enter into an agreement with the city so that they can utilize the logo in a brand sharing type way. Typically, cities don't really make a lot of money off branded stuff simply because there's really not a rush to purchase it. That being said, I know the hats here have been a little bit crazy, so but realistically, it doesn't make economical sense for us to really pull any money off it or to dedicate staff time to selling the assets.
It was just an opinion, right? I mean, I didn't know about this till Friday night when I got my agenda, and then that's when that
Oh,
question.
good question, sir. No,
it just
this is
popped up,
something that we
and-
looked into pretty heavy.
Yeah.
Because it can be a moneymaker potentially.
Yeah, and I know I know it's a pilot program, but when it's a pilot program, that's the prime time because that's something new, right? That's when everybody wants to buy it because it's something new. It's not out there anymore. After a year or so, then everybody already has one, so it's not as good as when it was the first time around, right? So this is like the prime time the opportunity, right? But I was just trying to see how can we capture the revenue back to the community, back to the taxpayer, even though I know it's not going to equal up to what would cost to brand, but just the small amount that we're able to capture, put it back into the learning center, library, buying books or something like that.
It'd be such a small amount that the staff time used to
Mhm.
process it would eat up the entire
Okay.
amount is the problem. And that's kind of the issue with this. If we were a bigger company that made a lot of money on marketing and brand revenue, like Nike or any of those ones, it'd be a little bit bigger. But
Mhm.
realistically, after this initial rush, even the initial rush, it's not going to be enough to really cover our costs to process, set up separate accounts and kind of go through it.
Okay, it was just, I haven't talked to you.
Sorry,
so-
no, not fault. And I'm not, Not
Yeah,
trying to be
so-
negative, but that's something we looked at heavily,
Yeah.
especially for, giving a public.
Yeah, no, I didn't.
It's really just about brand standards, right? Maintaining what the brand is and not letting it be sent out and morphed into something that doesn't actually
Which
exist
I've
today.
seen the old logo used in different things and which.
A great example, I'm gonna say would be the Chamber of Commerce, right? The Chamber of Commerce used the old logo, which they should never have used the old logo. But we saw a lot of stuff like that. Organizations that we were still close with, but a lot of people take it upon themselves, like, I'm just gonna run with it myself and use it. And that's where I like it because it does lock it down to say, no, you can't actually just use it. You have to go through a process to be able to use that.
So that was just a question.
With that said, I'm going to, if no other questions on it, I'm just gonna look for a motion in a second to carry for item number 11 on consent calendar, now management report number 1.
Second,
Okay. I have a motion by Councilmember Prout, second by Councilmember Alvarado. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Alvarado,
yes.
Prout,
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yes.
and Gibbon.
Yes, thank you very much for your time. Okay, management report for the council dais logo discussion. Mr. Reno.
Good
evening.
evening, Mayor and Council. On August 19th, we came to you guys with some options for the logo emblem on the back wall here and on the side wall. And following council's discussion and what it is that you guys wanted, you wanted the full logo behind you in full primary colors, and then the seal logo over off to the side. Staff did meet with Shafter High. We met with both Justin and Jacob, so both the wood shop and metal or welding class. And they also brought 2 students with them. Between them, and I'll let Justin kind of go into their discussions amongst them both. They decided that they would move forward with the wood option. So I'll invite Justin up front. So we'll discuss the back wall first. I'm gonna go ahead and pass this on to Mr. Farrell.
Good evening, council.
Good evening.
So when we met on the 19th, it was kind of discussed that you guys were looking for a nice logo to go back behind the chamber chairs. And I think it was kind of emphasized that you wanted something that wasn't backed, or there was an option for that. So the example that I brought is kind of what we're proposing in like a half scale form. The issue with it not being backed is there's a couple things. The curvature of the wall makes it really hard to adhere things to that wall. So when you're talking about individual pieces, especially with how many pieces are involved with that new logo, and we talk about the California is in a very, very small size font, even when it's going to be, almost 30 inches wide. Getting that to adhere to that wall securely to where it's going to stay there, especially when times are, let's say you use some type of adhesive. I'm sure these chambers get hot in the summer. Those pieces are going to fall, and then you're going to have to put those things back up. So our proposed was a solid piece of wood that would be cut out, and we're actually utilizing 2 different programs we have on campus. Our yearbook and archiving teacher has a large vinyl printer that we just got at the high school. So the vinyl piece that you see on there was actually printed by her. Her name's Miss Davis. And my idea was doing a full-size wood piece that would be French cleated to that wall. It would sit out probably about 3/4 of an inch, and you could actually have some type of LED backlighting to it that could change, colors for the seasons or for different times, whatever it might be. And same thing for the seal logo that would be on the other side. Any questions for me?
I have a question.
Yeah, by all means. Go ahead.
No, can it go wider? I mean, length?
So we can make it, I'd have to get the exact parameters of that vinyl printer if you guys are accepting of this kind of design. The only thing it would be kind of looking at would be you're gonna be kind of limited to height, right? Because you want it to sit above the council chairs. You don't want it to be blocked out. So it's just perspectively, we looked at something around the same size of what you guys have here up front. So it was about 30 inches wide. And then I think it was going to end up being about 22.5 inches tall if the perspective's right. from the rendering that we got. So yes, it can be wider, but you're also limiting yourself to the available window space you can see.
Lengthwise.
Yeah, that's what I mean by
Okay.
wider
I
in that
think
sense.
I think I said width, right? That's it.
You said.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I mean, if you wanted it, I mean, in my perspective of when I'm looking at this, you want to have a decent reveal on the top and bottom that matches and looks. You don't want it to be pressing up against the ceiling
Right.
to where it can be kind of cut out of the picture.
No way of doing raised letters.
So
I'm
it's
not a huge
something,
fan of the vinyl.
it's something that I've thought about. The issue is becoming the paint, the color. So getting the correct color, like it was really tough to get the exact color. I don't even really think I have it right because we have kind of like a Vegas gold color on here. So the coloring's hard. If we could get something to where we could get it paint matched possibly, I don't know if that would be something we could do, but it also all depends on the material you're putting it on. So if we were to do something with raised letters, yes, there is a possibility of cutting out raised letters with like a laser cutter
Mhm.
of some sort. Or if we contracted maybe something with, like, I know you guys had Raymond's Trophies do this, where they could cut something out of vinyl, it could be attached onto the wood piece. That would be possible. I think the idea of having it on that back wall, all raised letters, is great. There's just no way that I know of personally to adhere it to that wall where it will stay permanently. That's outside of my wheelhouse.
Yeah, I know it's possible. You're right there with the French cleat. You're walking down that same path, but there's a kind of an invisible foot behind the wall. So it's more or less you're embedding into the wall, and then the letter gets embedded into the foot that's behind it. So it
Yes,
It's-
so like
yeah.
a clear piece, I'm assuming you're saying.
somewhat, yeah. And you can take, 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, or however far apart. Whatever that depth needs to be, you can have it set as that. So I know they're
Yes.
possible. I understand where you're coming from on the coloration.
So speaking from a wood shop, perspective, that's outside of my classroom, I would say, and especially if we want to have, students working on this project. So I tried to kind of find something that, it wasn't just me doing everything. I wanted the kids to get involved. And I have a really special student right now that I think would be great for this. But that was kind of my idea, was I wanted to make sure that the students were involved in this, and it wasn't just me trying to do this.
Sure. Are you doing a reveal around? Because I'm looking at that. That has a kind of wood reveal with that vinyl.
Yeah, so that was kind of my idea. I didn't want to cover the entire piece in vinyl, so you can kind of see that it's still wood at the end of the day. I had talked about possibly matching to the oak, but I've heard that this is possibly not going to be here, or it might be changing.
Possibly.
So
No,
That's it.
no, no, no.
no, see, some people like the oak. Some people like the oak.
That's right. And there's nothing wrong with it.
So my suggestion was like a cherry is a really good type of wood. This is made out of pine just because it was just something we had lying around to make it light and easy. You definitely don't want to go too heavy, but the French cleat could hold, quite a bit of weight. So your options are definitely open as far as that goes. Whatever the council feels is the best thing. It would look back there.
Any other questions, folks? So quiet. Okay. Will you go to the next slide there for me, Yasmina, please? Is that 2'8" or is that 28?
28
28.
inches. Yeah,
28.
28 inches. And I just went based off of the size of this logo here on the bottom, roughly. when
Did you
we
want
were
to
here.
put over there?
No, I was just making sure I'm understanding. Well, it's still 2'4". That's 2'4" based on 28 inches.
So you're saying that you'll be able to mount it, keep it away from the wall a little bit, and then we'll be
Yeah,
able to
well,
have some.
How the
Remember lighting
French
in the back?
the French cleat works is it's kind of like what you used to hang, kitchen cabinets, uppers, and things like that. So that French cleat is 3/4 of an inch itself, and then it basically hangs on top of it. So it's going to set that out about 3/4 of an inch. That's why I kind of gave that option for the LED lighting. They sell, little battery packs that you can run that strip lighting on there, and it'll have a remote, and you can change the color and do all kinds of cool stuff that you can buy online. So that was kind of my idea for it.
So the LD lights, where are they gonna be? Around?
They would be.
They could,
be on the
yeah.
back.
Behind?
They would be on the back, so it would kind of backlight
Okay.
the logo
yeah.
itself. Not sure, yeah, not sure how much it would illuminate it, but yeah, that was the idea.
Okay. Yeah, I just am not a huge fan of the vinyl, so I'm stuck on that vinyl aspect of it. I like the raised letters personally, but I'm one of four, so I'll let.
So what? Say, John, would that be wood too design?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
so
sir.
the raised letters can be an option. I would really want to make sure, especially with how much you guys are consistent on the quality control of the logo and what it, I would definitely want to make sure that I could bring in examples and be like, hey, this is what it's gonna look like, just so we're all clear, because I want to make sure the expectation is correct. Basically if I were to do some type of raised letters, they would be cut out of medium density fiberboard, so MDF, and then you could paint it to that color. If you wanted to do something with vinyl, or not vinyl, but like an acrylic, I would definitely suggest going to someone that can cut those out, and I could definitely put them on a piece, but that the cutting of the acrylic and stuff like that is just something I don't necessarily have the expertise in, I would say.
Could you sample that on the S that you're seeing on the screen right now?
The like the raised lettering. Yeah, I mean, I could try and do that. I don't, oh, no, that brings out a problem. Because I don't know, the laser engraver I have is a 24 by 18 is my scope. That I could basically, that's my table size. So it would be, the S would definitely have to be scaled off of that, if that makes sense. So
No, it does.
I could maximize that as much as I could. And I mean, looking at it, it would be pretty close if I had to guess, probably right inside of 24 inches. But yes, that could be something I could try and sample. If we did that, it would definitely be just the paint color, and then how it looks once it's painted onto the MDF. Because obviously, painting different mediums, it's going to change the color and the hue of the color a little bit. So, just want to make sure it's correct. I would say the acrylic, if you got a colored acrylic that was that exact color, that would definitely, I think, look the best. And then adhering that would just have to be, some type of backing or some type of, adhesive that would go on there.
Any other comments to it, folks? No? Can we try that? At least get a sample on the raised, if you're okay with that?
Okay.
I'm asking you because you're kind of.
Yeah, I'm not cutting this. So.
I mean, I can bring the
gosh.
jigsaw out here and we can do it. No, yeah, no, I could definitely get an example to you. I don't know when exactly are you, okay,
You have time.
okay.
It'd be better to do it right than to do it fast.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, I agree. But yes, that is something I could get an example at least of what it would look like. And I could even do,
I was saying, if you want to do something smaller, you can go,
Yeah.
something along those lines instead.
okay. Yeah, we can work on that.
Thank you. Okay, no other questions? We'll walk away from this. You're good? Okay. Much appreciated. As long as you guys are good. This is just for discussion and providing direction, so thank you very much for your time, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Excited that the high school is part of that. Just want to say that right now. Very much excited for that. All right, item number 2, AKA the last item on the management report, is the transfer completed South Shafter Sewer Project to the city agreement approval. Hi, Marcos.
Hello, good evening, Honorable Mayor and council members. I'm Deputy Public Works Director Marcos Torres. So the item before you tonight is the proposed agreement with Kern County for the transfer of the South Shafter Sewer Project to the city of Shafter once the construction is completed. So a little bit of background. In 2018, Kern County received over $10 million in Prop 1 Small Community Wastewater Grant funding to construct a new public sewer collection system for the unincorporated communities of South Shafter. This includes West Shafter, Southwest Shafter, Thomas Lane, Smith's Corner, Burbank, and the Cherokee Strip area. Additional grant funding was later approved in 2019 to cover private laterals so that residents can abandon septic systems and connect directly to the new sewer system. From the start, city and county staff worked together to determine the best approach for long-term operations. It was agreed that the city of Shafter should assume responsibility for providing sewer services once the system was completed. So tonight, I'll like to highlight some of the 5 key details of the agreement. First off, the city will not be funding the project. The county will manage and fully pay for the construction through state grant funds. Once operation begins, the county residents will pay city-approved sewer rates, just as they do with current water rates. Grant funding will cover the city's capacity fees. And the city will not be required to annex these service areas as part of this agreement. So it's planned that hopefully they go out to bid by the end of the year and hopefully start construction in the springtime with a completion date of optimistic of the end of 2026. So therefore, the recommendation tonight is to council authorize the execution of the agreement and direct staff to take the necessary steps to implement it. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Folks, questions, comments, or concerns?
Yeah, so what you just said right now, Marcos,
Uh-huh.
the maintenance and everything of it's gonna be covered, right? The ongoing maintenance.
No, that'll be taken on by the city. So once basically the project's 100% completed, it's gonna be dedicated to the city.
I know, but the fees and everything that are gonna be charged are
Upfront
gonna
will
be
be
enough
covered through
to
this grant.
offset the cost of maintaining and operating it?
So the maintenance is gonna be directly with the service rates, so on your monthly bill. The capacity fees, which is the upfront cost, will be paid through the straight grant.
Okay.
But it's with the people that are in those areas.
Yeah, I understand it. I just wanna make sure that we're not.
Yeah, so
Better be
basically
left.
what we pay now, all the residents, that's to maintain this, clean the sewer lines, maintain the flows. That's gonna be paid, they're gonna pay that as well.
Through the utility rate.
Yeah.
Through the, rates.
Yeah, because, I just wanna make sure we're not missing anything there, that we're covering the bases.
Yeah, we're covering the bases.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Hearing none, seeing none, need a motion and a second to carry, please.
I'll motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Espinoza, second by Councilmember Alvarado. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Alvarado,
Yes.
Prout,
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yes.
and Givens.
Yes, thank you. On to our favorite time of the evening, the city manager comments and reports, sir.
The only comment I would make
Have
is, it's just one comment. High Speed Rail is reaching out to city staff. We will be setting up a specific special meeting for them to present changes in their project to you. That'll be at a later date. We are being told that potentially within the next 2 weeks, but I'll keep you all informed.
See how that goes. All right, and direct,
No
department director comments and reports.
No director comments reports.
All right, fantastic. With that said, that is everything for this evening, and I will need a motion and a second to adjourn.
I'll motion.
And I have a motion by Councilmember Espinoza, second by Councilmember Prout. All those in favor with aye,
Aye.
same sign opposed, hearing none, adjourned at 7:17:59.